Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience and 21-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver as voted by their customers. How are you doing today, Bernie?
Doing well.
So we're going to talk about a BMW X3 that was having a battery problem. What was going on with this Beamer?
So this vehicle came in for a regular maintenance service, and the battery was tested during the service and found that it was weak and needed to be replaced.
So were there any other indications beyond the readings on the testing that you guys did?
Yeah, so how we found that the battery was weak, we have a tester that we put on, and it indicated the battery was near the end of its lifespan. The other thing that was noticeable is when you cranked the engine over, it just felt a bit sluggish. It cranked over okay, but it just had this labored feel to it, which you kind of get when the battery's weak and old. You know, the car still starts, but it had that feel. So that's the other indication we had that maybe this battery's not good, and the tester verified that.
So why are we talking about a battery replacement? This is pretty straightforward. Is there something different about replacing a battery on a BMW?
Well, there is actually. There's a reprogramming process that's required that you have to do through a scan tool in the vehicle computer, believe it or not. It's never simple these days, but there's a number of different options of batteries you can put in the vehicle. And so, yeah, that's kind of why we're talking about this, because there's added complication. And BMW is not unique to an X3. A lot of BMWs, this is a 2011, for at least 5 years previous to this, maybe longer, this has been a required procedure. Failing to do so, the battery may not charge. So you put a battery in, and a week later, it's all of a sudden dead.
So you have to go in for service where they know what they're doing. You just can't do it yourself.
Exactly. Now, you might get lucky and put it in yourself, and it might work, but you have to put exactly the same battery in and hope that it was all programmed properly beforehand.
So is that part of why they made it this complicated?
What, so you go back to the dealer for a service? Well, that would be the conspiracy theory of it. But honestly, the reason why is that they can control the electrical system can control make proper use of the alternator's power. It's more efficient if they know what kind of batteries in the vehicle. So yeah, it's more complicated, but it's not really there just so you have to go back to the dealer, although that's probably like a nice little bonus. And of course, you don't have to go to the dealer. I mean, we do it, and any other good independent repair shop has the tools and capabilities to do it. But it makes for a more efficient charging system. I mean, these vehicles have very high electrical demands, heated seats, heated steering wheels, electric power steering. There's a number of things. If you get into a slightly newer model year, start-stop technology is part of it. So when you come up to a red light, the engine shuts off, and then as soon as you let your foot off the brake, the engine starts again for, obviously reduced emissions and better fuel economy. So that again requires a very good battery and a precise charging system.
You mentioned there was different kinds of batteries. What? This is new to me. What batteries are different?
Yeah, there are. Yeah. So, I mean, the traditional battery, in a vehicle is a lead acid battery. It's known as a flooded battery. And there have been, other technologies available, but this vehicle uses an AGM battery. It's called absorbed glass mat. It has acid and lead plates like a traditional battery, but the way it's designed is different, and it's much more efficient, lasts longer, charges quicker, has more power. So let's just get into a couple of pictures. I'll show you some stuff here, and then we can talk more about the AGM batteries. Okay, so this is our scan tool screen that gives you the options for the battery capacity. When you replace the battery in the vehicle, you need to go into this is an AutoLogic, but there are a variety of different scan tools that will do this particular job. So you can see different options here. 70 A8, that means amp hour. So you can see these different options. Then you have the AGM options from 70 up to 105. The stock battery is a 90 amp hour AGM. And so depending on which battery you put in the vehicle, you can put a non-glass mat battery in, but it's definitely, the vehicle comes with an AGM battery, so it's always better to use that. The other advantage of an AGM battery is it doesn't gas like a regular battery. Like a regular lead acid battery has gas that comes out of the battery as it charges. And because this battery is actually mounted in the trunk of the vehicle, you really don't want gas coming out. So it does have a vent tube, but the gassing is extremely minimal on an AGM battery. So it's pretty critical to use one of those on any vehicle that has the battery inside the vehicle. But not all vehicles require that, but it's best to have it. So this is the screen. Again, we use the 90 amp hour AGM battery in the vehicle, so that's what we programmed in. Now, other pictures here. This is our tester. So hook it up to the vehicle. It says near end of life, charge 62%. Now you think, well, maybe we could charge it up and make it better. But these testers are very intuitive. They actually test the resistance of the battery. They put little mini load tests on the battery and do a variety of things. So it can tell information about a battery that's, that you can't often detect yourself. But as I said, we suspected the battery was weak just by the way it cranked over, and the tester verified it. So we'll get other messages here. Sometimes it says bad battery. Other times it'll say good battery, and it isn't actually good. But 95% of the time, these testers are really accurate. The other picture I want to show is this is the battery mounted in the back of the vehicle. The reason I took this picture, this is just, it used to be that a battery would have here's the positive terminal here. You can barely see it. And the negative terminal here. It would just have one big thick fat wire coming off each of these terminals, and that was it. Well, you can see this thing has just a host of other items here. Extra wires. It's like a junction box. There are voltage and current sensors detecting how much voltage, current is flowing in and out of the battery. They have it on the positive and negative side of this battery. So there's a lot of complexity here. This is mounted in the trunk. It takes a while even just to change the battery because the hold down bracket. It's got a couple of hold down brackets, and it's it's not like it used to be where just be under the hood, you pop two terminals off, and away you go. So there's our picture show.
So what exactly is an AGM battery?
So it stands for absorbed glass mat, and instead of having just lead plates with liquid, the sulfuric acid and water liquid floating around, it actually absorbs the lead acid mixture, the acid mixture in a glass mat plate, and it's all sandwiched together very tightly. So these batteries can handle a lot more vibration. They can be charged quicker. They have more power. There's just a lot of advantages to them. Plus, they don't gas like a regular battery. There's no off-gassing, at least, or I should say it's very minimal. So now you're wondering, what's the downside? Well, the downside is the price. They're a lot more money, 50% to sometimes twice the price, 50 to 100% more money. But the good thing of the lifespan of this battery, this one, and it's hard to tell because when a battery is kept in a trunk, it always stays clean, unlike when it's under a hood where it often gets grungy. But this battery, I'm pretty sure is original, which makes it, we're in 2020, the battery's about 9 years old. So that's pretty good life for a battery. You will get the odd flooded regular lead acid battery that will last that long, but it's extremely rare. If you have a car that has one, you should probably go buy a lottery ticket because you've beaten the odds pretty good. But 8-9 years is pretty good, kind of a lifespan you get out of these as opposed to the typical 5 years you get out of a regular battery.
And how did the X3 start and run after the battery replacement? Well,
it was noticeably different. It wasn't like it was cranking really badly, but there was just a noticeable difference in terms of it just felt peppier and more lively when it started. So that made a big difference. I would say, about the life of these batteries is, if you do have a vehicle with the start-stop technology, you'll probably get a little less life out of it. And this issue with this battery would have probably been a little more noticeable because, every time you stop the car, at a light and it restarts, the starter is being used. So there's a lot more activity involved, and you would probably notice a difference sooner on a vehicle like that. And the battery would probably live a little less long of a life because it's being used, being cycled a lot more. But anyways, this is not the case with this. And the car was great.
So what's your opinion on BMW X3s? I know you actually own one of these vehicles as well. What do you think of them?
It's a nice vehicle to drive. Really nice. More issues than I'd like to see. I'm kind of like anyone else. I love fixing cars, but I don't like fixing my own. And I think things tend to wear out on these cars a little sooner than they should. Things like, they tend to develop oil leaks and coolant leaks. There's a lot of complexity and expense to them. So that's kind of, to me, that's kind of the downside. If you own one, you're definitely getting a nice vehicle. It's a good feel, good looking, drives well, but you will spend more money, for sure taking care of this than you would on, say an equivalent Japanese or Korean type of SUV.
So there you go. If you're looking for service for your BMW or X3, if you have it in Vancouver, or battery replacements, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. You have to call and book ahead. They're always busy. Check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com. There's over 600 articles on there about all makes and models of cars and repairs. Over 350 videos on YouTube, Pawlik Auto Repair. Search on there. You can find our channel. And of course, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. Click the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that even more. And leave a review. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks for watching. We really appreciate it.